Salute, and welcome. Welcome back to the Black Ocean. Now swimming in the deep end with your host, the one and only Great Black Shark. And yes, family, yes, we gonna have to talk about the situation in Chicago regarding these migrants over here this evening. And I'd like to take the time right now to give a special salute to our good brothers and sisters up there in Chicago. Man, they've been trying to do them very bad up there regarding that situation. But I am very proud of how they've come together and decided to say no. See, let me tell you something, family. I've said this for years over here on this channel. One of the most powerful words in the English language is one syllable, no. When you say no and you mean it and you're organized and you put action behind a bunch of voices that say no, you get things done. Because, see, what we're going to review here tonight is exactly what politicians should be behaving like. See, any politician from either party, they work for the people, okay? You don't work for them, they work for you. Hence, our tax dollars going to pay their salaries. But too long in this country, and this is something that you white people that are being nosy, coming over here listening, you all should take heed of this as well. For too long in this country, regardless of which political party it is, they've been allowed to act as if they're our rulers. Well, the good brothers and sisters up in Chicago decided that enough is enough regarding this migrant crisis, and we're going to cover several things dealing with that here tonight, and we're also going to deal with Mr. Patrick Bet-David. Oh yeah, well, we're going to have to deal with some of his stuff he got going on over there. Oh yeah, we're going to get to that a little bit later in the broadcast. We're going to give a brief history lesson on a great number of things that he was talking about over there, because, family, let me tell you something. They always find some old sellout sambozo to put up on these platforms and say, see, I didn't see it. A black person said it. But don't worry, we're going to get to that in good time. So now that you all know what the gist of the broadcast is going to be here tonight, let me greet my esteemed guests that I see in the building. Let me scroll up to make sure that I see everyone join us. Let's see. There is old grandma in the house. Welcome, elder, good sister. Jaleel Peterson. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, sister. The good brother CRU Reality, the beat maker and computer maker. Good sister Gwendolyn Griffith. I see you. Sidonian Snow in the house. Diesel Mike out there on them highways and byways. Hope everything's well with you, my brother. Let's see. I see Stun Z in the building. The good sister Fudophilia. D. Foster, Chi Banana. Erica Bailey's in the house. Mrs. L in the building. Salute and welcome to you all. Everyone that'll be joining us in attendance here tonight. So, family, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to review a couple of things here that our good brother Philip Scott has covered, because I'm going to say it again. If you enjoy my content, okay, and other members of New Black Media, and you sleeping on the Philip Scott podcast, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because the brother does excellent work. He is giving these Democrats the business, okay? And trust me, I think it would behoove you to go and check that brother out or subscribe to his channel if you're not already subscribed over there, okay? So we're going to get started reviewing some things here. And look, let's be clear on this. Brandon Johnson is just the front flunky that they place in there to do their dirty work. Because, see, I've said this for a number of years as well. Whenever they start talking about the first black, even though he's not the first black mayor of Chicago, but first black, or they start making a bunch of noise about, oh, see, here's your representation, black this, black that. What the black people accepting those positions need to start looking at is like, okay, what are they putting me in place to do? Okay, because usually a lot of times if it's something that the dominant society isn't fighting you over, that means they're like, okay, yeah, we'll put this on you. That way, no white person has to take the blame for it, no white politician, right? Okay, but I digress. We're gonna get into that tonight here, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And if you have not already, if you are so inclined, do hit that like button and share this. And we're going to get into this.
Tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the Chicago migrant crisis, because things are really developing. These stories are coming so quick, but I tried to get to the ones that I think that would really be interesting, y'all. So you know that, Chicago is experiencing a migrant crisis of epic proportions. A lot of the residents are upset about this because their tax dollars is going to people who didn't work, for those tax dollars. They didn't pay into the system themselves. They didn't vote for any of the politicians, but yet they're taking advantage, of all the tax dollars while citizens aren't getting anything. And people of all communities are upset about this in unison. And the Democrats in Chicago really trying to stick to their guns on this issue, but is falling by the wayside. Brandon Johnson is just trying to toe the line because he knows if he speaks against this situation, he may end up like Mayor Eric Adams, who's having a problem now. All of a sudden, after he spoke out against, the migrants in New York City, he said he was going to destroy the city as they know it. And he was speaking against, Biden. And all of a sudden now he has a problem.
Now, let me pause it right there because I want to touch on something that I've been saying for years. All of us have been saying in New Black Media for years, but I'm gonna touch on it here again tonight. See, Brother Phil brought up an excellent point because, before Eric Adams opened his mouth and went against the Democrat Party script, shall we say, we didn't hear nothing about none of this stuff. Let me bring this back to the forefront again. This goes for athletes. It goes for entertainers that are black, especially, okay? Entertainers, okay, politicians, all of it across the board, no matter what you are, corporate America. If you go against the script of those in dominant society, whatever their agenda is, and you the type of silly black person that thinks that, I'm special, I've made it now, and you start trying to do what the other white people do, they're not going to stop you right away. Oh, no. And we're talking either political party in this case. They're not going to stop you. They're going to let you do what you do. They're going to encourage it. But what's going to happen is the minute that you call yourself trying to get, as they used to call our people, uppity, they'll be like, you're not going to do what we asked you to do? Okay, cool, no problem. It's called an uh-oh folder. Say it again. It's called an uh-oh folder. Basically, what that means, in case that's over your head, they keep a file of everything you've done that they know they can blackmail you with. If it's incriminating, whether you got a drug habit, you cheating on your wife, you like cocaine, sniffing out the back of hookers, whatever you got going on, they'll be like, yeah, okay. You sure you're not going to do what I asked you to do? Bet. Got something for you. And see, with a lot of these goofy black politicians, because, especially the bootlick crowd, they get to thinking that they're above the rest of us. They go try to do what the white folks do, and they remind you, no, you're not one of us. You're just a mascot. Stay in a mascot's place. And mark my words, a lot of you have asked me about it. Candace Owens is about to learn that lesson the hard way too. Just keep y'all in that situation. It's coming. Mark my words. It's coming. So I just want to take time to point that out that Brother Phil was mentioned there, because Eric Adams is getting his wake-up call now. And look, that's not going away no time soon when you're dealing with the feds. Let it continue.
So Mayor Johnson is just really in a interesting situation. But let's get into, the meat of what we're talking about tonight. So we know Chicago is a place that the winters are harsh. They truly have 4 seasons out of the year, unlike in Houston that we don't have 4 seasons. And now, because the winters are getting harsh and some of the migrants are living on the streets, and I got to see that myself when I went to Chicago a month or so ago. So now, since the weather is coming, now the migrants are starting to think twice. So let's get into this. He says Chicago, they say, has become unpleasant that migrants are fleeing back to Venezuela after being dumped in shelters and refused better paying jobs. Since August of last year, 20,700 migrants have arrived in Chicago from Texas, and say the Lone Star State's Governor Greg Abbott sent migrants to Chicago and other Democrat-run cities because of their proud status as sanctuary cities. He said they offer enhanced protection against detention or deportation for undocumented migrants. Now Illinois' harsh winters, lack of migrant infrastructure, and ambivalent support from locals has made many people who undertook the harsh U.S.-Mexico border journey actually turn around and go back home. Now let's focus on that last part. Basically, people not supporting them. So what we're seeing is a key component to open borders is support by the citizens of the United States. So what we're seeing in Chicago, Chicago is actually a great case study. So if all the citizens in unison, no matter what community you come from, say, hey, we as a city don't want this, do you see how things start turning around? See, these politicians is going to need you to vote for them when the election season come up. This is why I tell anyone who listens to me, be registered to vote. Always be registered to vote. I tell anyone who listens to me to have a driver's license. I tell anyone who listens to me to have a passport. Have all of them. If you want to go further with the passport situation, get your global entry card, or you get your TSA pre-check and your global entry together for 5 years. Get you a clear membership. That way you can bypass all the lines and they take you directly. It's a VIP service, literally. They take you right up front to the TSA pre-check, right? So have all of that. It is handy. Even if you are flying domestically, that clear membership is awesome.
Got to take a moment to pause that. He's absolutely right. Having all of that does make traveling a whole lot easier. I've had those things my position for a number of years now. So if you have not looked into that already, if you're the type of person that does a lot of traveling, even domestically, it will behoove you to look into that. Trust me on that. You will thank both of us later if you have not done that and you decide to take us up on that bit of information. Just want to put that in there.
But when people are in unison together, you see what starts to happen. Now the migrants are saying, nah, I think we need to go on back to Venezuela and go ahead on and fight in our homeland. Now, Venezuela-born Michael Castellanos, 39 years old, and his family have been sleeping on the floors of police stations and shelters after he could not afford to pay rent in Chicago because his work permit was taking so long to arrive. And so the family was renting an apartment through a city voucher program that gives up to $15,000 for up to 6 months of rental assistance. But once it ran out, they had to give up their living space. Now listen to that. The city of Chicago residents who could be listening, and some of you do, Brandon Johnson and them gave this man and his family $15,000 for rental assistance for up to 6 months. And when it ran out, he basically had to leave. Now, many of you in the city of Chicago who actually pay taxes, that's a slap in the face to the taxpayer. The people in Chicago, all people should be telling Brandon Johnson, hey, man, where's my $15,000 check? I need that. Because if you gave it to them, we need that. We've been paying taxes in the city ever since we've been born. And you giving our tax dollars to them. No, that's not right. That's not right at all. That's not fair. And nobody voted for you to do that. Because, you know, people say you get what you vote for, but nobody that voted for Brandon Johnson in their mind would think Brandon Johnson and them would have a program where they're giving $15,000 to migrants. Nobody voted for that. We got to be real with that conversation, say you get what you vote for. Because if they would have told them, hey, guys, if you get me in office, I'm going to give $15,000 to migrants so they can stay 6 months. You still want to vote for me? Most people say, hell no. So, no, you don't fully get what you vote for when it comes to this situation. Yes, I know what you mean by you get your vote for with the policy of open borders. I get that. But that situation, nobody could have fathomed that.
Now, I want to pause it right here because, see, this is something very important that I want our people to start doing, okay? It requires us to really analyze a lot of these phrases that Democrat Party or any politicians, for that matter, throw at us, okay? Get what you vote for. Like he just explained it there. Like nobody was looking for that. If you would have told somebody what you were going to do, most people would reject that, okay? So, see, the reason I'm bringing this up is, unfortunately, and it's a very cruel thing, but when you understand the nature of conditioning that has been inflicted upon our people since this country's inception, particularly in the area of politics, I have to say this is going to be somewhat insulting to some people, but I'm just going to tell you how the dominant society sees us in both parties. They tend to look at black people as big overgrown children that do not analyze things that are told to us, okay? They know that a large number of our people tend to look at a white man or a white woman in a suit and just whatever they say, okay, well, what they said, I'll just go with it. Or just be somewhat kind or cordial to you and you'll just eat up everything they say. For example, case in point, okay, if you don't vote, that's a vote for Trump. We all remember that one. No, if you don't vote, most of us with common sense and stop to think about it. So for the Biden stations that still believe that, if you don't vote for anybody, nobody gets that vote, okay? And see, this falls in line with this phrase that Brother Phil is talking about here. You get what you vote for. No, not exactly. Okay. So we need to start scrutinizing all of these things like that. Now, most of us with intelligence, we get that. All right. But there's a lot of people, and I got to say this for what it is. A lot of the elderly don't really drill down and pay attention to that. And see, it's a cruel thing, but the Democrats know that. The older church crowd, let's just call it what it is. They go and play on trying to scare them with Trump, this, that, and the third. Okay. That and the younger people that might not be as well informed as those of us who are older. You have to stop them, slow them down, and break these things down just like we're doing over here on this broadcast tonight, okay? Because, see, let me tell you something. I'm going to say this to not only the good brothers and sisters up there in Chicago, I'm going to say this to everybody. Listen to the sound of my voice in all 50 states in this country. If you're in a place that's a sanctuary city and they've done this for these migrants, once you stand your ground, because you can turn this around if you do what the good brothers and sisters in Chicago are doing. Once you stand your ground and get this problem taken care of and get them back to where they need to be, which is in their homelands, because they are not fleeing wars. Let's just keep it a buck. They ran up here because they heard they could get free stuff. What you need to do is confront these politicians at these city council meetings and say, listen, now that we've seen the treatment that you gave these migrants, people that hadn't paid any taxes, hadn't voted for anybody, there should be no such thing as any homeless people in our streets, because what you did for the migrants, you can do for them now. And all that assistance that you was giving folks, you're going to have to give that to the citizens. If not, fine, don't do it. Like Brother Phil said, if you register to vote, you can use your vote to get them up out of office, okay? And replace them with somebody that understands the needs of the people, all right? So I just want to put that part out there because he's absolutely right on that. Let's let it continue.
But now you know, voters, now you know. If they support open borders, then you know what comes along with it. They say the dad found a job in construction and he was getting paid in cash. They said, but it wasn't enough to sustain his family since they arrived in June. They said, after 5 months of rough living, they say with no end in sight, the family decided to pack up their belongings and return to South America, realizing there's nothing here for us. Castor John said the failed journey to settle in the U.S. had not been worth it. Despite the extreme poverty and authoritarian regime they were living under in Venezuela. And I say after months of begging for money and crossing borders, the dreams that he had heard of from other migrants had failed to materialize for him, he revealed. Now, Michael Castor-John, 39, has said to the media, the American dream doesn't exist anymore. There's nothing here for us. We didn't know things would be this hard. I thought the process was faster, he said, about the job permit situation in Chicago.
Now, let me pause it right here and interject something before Brother Phil goes to his next point. This is my personal opinion. The reason why I find it very irresponsible on the male migrants' part that come up here, lugging their wives and children with them, I want y'all to hear me out on this. And I want the men to tell me if you agree or disagree with my sentiments here. Okay. If I were in their shoes, I don't care what I heard from somebody else. Before I move my family into something that's uncertain, I would do it this way. I would say, okay, you know what? I know what Jorge up there told me, Jose told me. I get that. All right, I hear what he's saying. I'm going to discuss it with my family. Y'all stay here. Let me go up here and see how things are. Let me see if I can get established, get a foothold. Then once I do, then I would send for my family. See, that's the way I would do it. I wouldn't have my wife and kids out in freezing weather like that and uncertainty without knowing where we're going to lay our heads, man. I mean, that's just me. I guess I'm built different. You know, I was raised by an old school generation of men that were responsible in how they handle business. But that is just like, you know, they don't seem to have any shame in their rush to get free stuff because they're passing many other stable countries just to come up here to get free things. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the chat. I'm going to let Brother Phil continue.
So what he just said about the American dream and he couldn't get it. And it basically the American dream is dead. It was been dead for the citizens. And now you may say, Phil, what do you mean by the American dream is dead? The American dream used to be you can have one income, right? You have your wife. You buy that home, buy a home, not an apartment, You buy a house for you and your wife. You have children. Your wife gets to stay home and take care of your children. You go out to work. You provide now to pay all the bills as a man. All the bills of the house you pay for. You provide both cars for you and your wife. You put clothes on your back for your family. You feed everybody, feed the dog, and anything else that you need. When your children get of age, you can send them to college off one income, not two, one. Look, fast forward to 2023. People can't even get a one-bedroom apartment anymore. Grown children can't even move out the parents' house. At one point, listen, when I was 17, 18, 19, and when you would be in your house, especially as a man, you'd be looked at as a scrub. You couldn't get no girl to date you if you wanted to. If you told them, they asked, where you stay? I live with my mama. Your mama? Oh, no, You stay at the house with your parents. I'm not dating you. They would look down on you. So that would even incentivize a lot of guys. So go ahead and get them a spot. But I remember you can do that. Apartments, I remember it growing up. Apartments used to be $400, $500, $600. If you had bad credit, you just had to pay a deposit. Now, the deposit may be, application fee, $25. Let's say the apartment, $400. If you have bad credit, your deposit got to be the same $400. If you had good credit, you pay no deposit. If you catch on a move-in special and you got good credit, just pay your application fee, first month rent, and you moved in. You could afford that. Now what they're doing is that you take a 21, 22, 23-year-old, have them say to that child, at least in my eyes, they're a kid, because I got children that age, $1,700 a month. Oh, on top of the $1,700, you got to make 3 times the rent. To me, that right there was the ruining of people actually renting apartments. 3 times the rent. What 22 or 23-year-old make? Listen, some grown people don't make 3 times the rent in America.
Now, hold that thought that Brother Phil just mentioned, because see, this is why it should be doubly insulting for any tax-paying American citizen to see these migrants jump the line, because let's be clear, all this assistance they're getting, they're not having to pay no 3 times the rent. And yes, we know in places that are not metro areas, you can still find apartments for $600, $700 that are 1 bedrooms, etc., like that. But this would primarily apply to like a lot of metro areas. Okay, especially down here in the South, you still can. Now, a lot of other places, hey, that's gone. They ain't never coming back. No time soon in this administration, I'll say. But what he's saying right here, you see, what I always tell you over here on this channel, pay attention to policies and numbers when it comes to anything political, okay? There is no reason anybody in their right frame of mind should be okay with people that didn't vote for anybody, didn't pay any taxes, are not loyal to this nation, not citizens to this nation, being able to get all these things that citizens can't get. And it's off of our dime. Just think about how insulting that is for a minute. Let that sit in. Any of you who have children that are trying to make their way and get a start in the world, they've got people that are not even citizens coming in. And then if they're allowed to stay, they'll be telling your children, hey, you just lazy. I came here with nothing. I work hard. See, this is how they all do that. Just keep that in mind. Let's let it continue.
Then let's go about buying a home. Barack Obama, because I remember when he did it, Barack Obama ruined how to get a home. After the banks is the one that caused the crash in 2008, instead of him going after the banks, he made it harder on the people. Prior to the crash, I had got a home, and all I paid was $500 down. The home was already built to sit on the market. They paid the closing costs. I even get my $500 back. Black people was getting a lot of homes before that crash. After the rules Obama put in, you had to have 3.5% down. Your credit score had to be, at least 620, 630 or whatever. It's not about the credit score. Some people just don't have that 3.5% down. Some people, we talking about the FHA loan, fixed rate loan. So that started making it harder for people because they may not have the ability to save up 3.5%. Now, some people can, some people can't. Right? So it started making it much more stringent with the banks even getting these loans, make it much harder than what it was prior to 2008. So between the apartments 3 times the rent, the rules and them Obama and them put in after 2008, the American dream is just about dead. Now, if you can still get your American dream, but you got to make good money, or you got to have 2 incomes. When the American dream used to be the man works, he provides everything and got a house, you could take vacation, do everything off of that one man's income. So yes, the American dream been dead for the U.S. citizen. Why do you think he was going to waltz in here and get it? Now, the guy continued to say, how many more months of living in the streets will it take? Like I told y'all earlier, I seen migrants on the streets when I went to Chicago. He said, no more. He said, it's better that I leave. He said, at least I have my mother back home. He continues to say, we just want to be home. If we're going to be sleeping in the streets here, he said, we'd rather be sleeping in the streets over there. He said, Castle John's stepdaughter, Andrea Carolina Sevilla, it said, could not find a school to be enrolled in. They say when they arrived in the U.S., despite one of the reasons they left their native home was to give her a better education. He is not the only migrant in Chicago who is realizing that the reality of asylum seeking is not what they had imagined. Say Chicago's cold weather is creeping up, and many migrants still sleeping on the streets are forced to lay on wet, cold mattresses. Let me tell you something.
Now, let me pause it right there, okay? I want y'all to think about what I just said earlier. That goes to show you that if they're talking about, well, hey, I didn't know it was going to be this hard, we're going to go back. That tells you they're not running from any type of life-threatening situation, because if that was the case, they'll be like, well, hey, I might be on the floor, but it's better than back where I'm from, where I'm being butchered and killed at. You see what I'm saying? See, a lot of people don't point that out, but I'm going to point it out. Let's let it continue.
I don't wish that on nobody. A wet and cold mattress. Let me tell you one of my most miserable days. Well, it was 2 of them, but one of my most miserable nights, I'm going to say, at work. I was still a tankerman at the time. I was tankering barges. And I was tankering a barge at ExxonMobil Baytown, Texas, that plant. And I was doing an oil barge, and it started raining all night, and it dropped down to about 26 degrees. So even though you're trying to stay, dry as possible, it's just no way. You end up just getting wet anyway. So my clothes was wet. When you get so wet that your socks is wet. Now I'm in 26-degree temperature, right? And I'm trying to stay warm. And that was the most miserable thing I ever experienced on the job my whole freaking life. Well, at least one of the most experienced thing. So you're out there on a wet mattress, and these people got children. Okay. These children out here, they bring their little small kids with them on a wet, cold mattress in Chicago winter. But yet in their homeland, it don't get cold like that. So they really put themselves in a pickle coming up here. So I feel for them. I genuinely feel for them for being in there. I would wish that on nobody. Now, I say the city is also notoriously safe for violent crime, and migrants forced to sleep in public, more vulnerable to attack than most. They say at least 40 people in the last month have left Chicago's first district station to either move back home or elsewhere in the states with the help of Catholic Charities of Chicago. Now, I got a question. Catholic Charities of Chicago, you helping them move to elsewhere in the states. They're here, they don't have a work permit, don't have anything. Wouldn't that be a form of human smuggling or illegal alien smuggling? You moving them elsewhere in the states. I'm not saying feeding them, giving them blankets, or even letting them be in the church so they can stay warm. Not saying that. I'm saying you moving them to other places. That's interesting.
That is a very good point he just brought up.
Now, I say, according to, the reports, it said migrants, eat standing up and have to rub their hands together to keep warm because of lack of facilities. It said Brian Lozano, head of the volunteer group of the police station response team, said the word of the situation in Chicago is beginning to spread. Lozano said the city's resources have been exhausted and the resettlement program now cannot take the strain of the number of migrants flooding in. It said another migrant, Jose Nar, 22 years old, was forced to sleep in a police station in Chicago for 2 weeks before deciding to travel back to Texas. He'd moved to the Windy City to see the hype for himself, but soon realized it was not better. Now, Diana Vera, who moved to Chicago with her 3 children and daughter-in-law, 3 whole children, wow, and a daughter-in-law, and they have also decided to quit the city and say for better opportunities elsewhere. They say they've been living on the floor in the police station for about a month. Now, they say they was boarding a bus to Detroit. Uh-oh, Detroit. They coming your way, brothers and sisters in Detroit. This is warning you ahead of time. Vera said, we heard that there are a lot of jobs over there, even if you don't have a permit. So Detroit, the migrant crisis is coming to you. They said this comes, at a fraught time, for Chicago and its residents. Furious protesters stormed the Chicago City Council meeting last week during a debate about whether the city should remain a sanctuary city for migrants. The meeting was called after Ninth Ward Alderman Anthony Beal, who oversees the district in the predominantly black South Side, proposed an advisory referendum that would ask voters during the March primary if Chicago should keep its sanctuary city status. Now, progressives in Chicago are outraged that a move to end Chicago's status as a sanctuary city is even being considered on the ballot. Well, you progressives, you're anti-democracy.
He's 101,000% right. And let me tell you something that I propose, and I'm going to keep saying this. Not only should whether or not citizens in all 50 states, not just Chicago, but in all 50 states, whether or not you want your city to be a sanctuary city should be on the ballot. And I'm telling you right here tonight, those on the sound of my voice, that's something all of you need to go to your city council meetings and push for it. Be like, listen, this election cycle, we want whether or not we should be a sanctuary city on the ballot. Give us the choice to vote for that, because whether you're dealing with it or not, let me tell you what wise people do. Even if you're not having the issue that Chicago and New York is having, okay? You don't wait till you do deal with it. I'm going to say this in no uncertain terms, no matter who it offends. That should be something that, after what we've seen here, every tax-paying American should say, listen, the concept of a sanctuary city should be abolished in all 50 states. Black people don't have one. No, they don't get one either. No, that needs to be revoked, and there needs to be legislation that makes that permanent. Okay, that's where I'm at with it. Yeah, I'm going there. So that's just something to think about the next time you talk to your city officials, politicians. Be like, listen, man, no, we don't want to wait till we're dealing with New York and Chicago issues. Cut this off now. Okay, so consider that, family. Let's let it continue.
Let me tell you why. In a democracy, and you claim that we need to save democracy, right? Don't you say that? That we don't need Trump because we need to vote Democrats because we need to save democracy? Well, that's not saving democracy. Democracy means everybody has a voice. If anyone is trying to prevent somebody from voting and having a voice in their own city, you're anti-democratic, period.
He's 1,000% correct again. That's more authoritarian, not democracy. Start putting that in these people's faces. See, the good thing about the truth, brothers and sisters, is this. The truth is very simple. The truth doesn't need any extras, any add-ons. Hit these people with the truth, combined with policies and numbers. If you look on my community wall, I've given you some great ammunition to use against these people when it comes to that in conjunction with what you're hearing here tonight. So keep that in mind. Let's let it continue.
Why don't you want the citizens to have a voice? If the citizens go and vote and say no on sanctuary city, that's what they want. If they vote yes, that's what they want. Let the citizens have a voice. Anyone who don't want that on the ballot, you're anti-American. Let's call it what it is. You so-called progressives in Chicago. Now let's continue. They say, but many of the city's residents, including large numbers, they say, of those who are themselves, they say ethnic minorities, whatever that means, which means non-white, are keen to end the Windy City's sanctuary city status. Yes, and I seen the video itself, and I said I want to do a video on that one. The immigrants who've been here, who don't have no papers, don't have nothing, are mad about the new ones coming here. And they're mad because they say they're getting to jump the line. They getting all the help. While they didn't get nothing, they say they had to work for everything they got, right? So it's just an interesting dynamic. So many residents express.
I got to pause and take a minute to be petty because Brother Phil is right. I've seen that floating around too. A lot of the illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants, whatever you want to call them, that are over here, they're mad about this treatment, the special treatment this new crop of illegal aliens are getting. Let me tell you what I would do if I was in power, how petty I would be with it. I would be like, yeah, you know what? we've been unfair. So if you're undocumented, come on over here. You can get what they're getting. And as soon as I get them all together, guess what's going to happen? Because, you know, I have to take time to be petty in my broadcast. Family, there's an old song from the 80s, circa 1988, 89. Now, the rapper is not as talented as some of our greats, but he was a white boy. Now, how many of you know where I'm going with this? What type of song am I talking about? What would be the name of the song? Oh, this was a classic, too. It is. Vanilla Ice. Oh, yes. Ice, ice, baby. I don't care if you've been naughty or nice. Call Ice and call them twice. I would call them and round them up together, and we would have that same energy that they had when they deported all the Haitian migrants. That's where I would be. They better be glad I'm not the mayor of nobody, boy. I'll be gangster with it. I would clean that problem up overnight. They'll be glad there ain't no such thing as a mayor GBS out here, because I would deal with it. Y'all know I was going to be petty. Y'all knew it was coming. But anyways, let's let it continue.
Frustration about the millions of dollars the city was spending on migrant shelters instead of Chicago's most impoverished communities. As of September, there were about 20 active migrant shelters in the city. 7 were located on historically underserved south and west sides, in other words, in the black areas. It said more than 20,000 migrants have touched down in Chicago since last year. It said while most hail from Venezuela, it said they come from all over the world, including, it said, the African continent, the European continent, and also the Middle East. They said the city has allocated $4 million to help migrants find temporary housing. The state has contributed another $38 million. Now, since August 2022, Chicago has opened its doors to tens of thousands of migrants sent by Abbott and non-government organizations in states such as Colorado and New York. They say the majority are seeking asylum due to U.S. foreign policy that's created unstable economic and political conditions, compromising their safety and forcing them to travel thousands of miles to safety. They say it also adds U.S. cities have not traditionally had the infrastructure to resettle high number of immigrants and refugees. They said this is a federal responsibility. Well, most of our cities aren't built that way to take on people like that. It's not. The fact is, you need to stay in your homeland and you need to fight. Or if you're going to leave, go to a country that's neighboring your homeland. If your homeland gets good again, you go return back to your homeland.
Now I got to pause it to put this on your mind, because this is something I've been saying for a long time as well. Bill is 100% right yet again on his logic here, because see, let's be real, family. I want everybody in the chat room to tell me your thoughts on this. Particularly, and you know where I'm going if you've been a subscriber to my channel, you follow me on Twitter, you know where I'm about to go with this. When you get that many numbers of men, the primary builders and protectors of a society, gathered together to flee from their homeland. That's what it is. Okay? You flee and you want to come up here. What would happen if instead of fleeing, all of you got together and decided to fix your problems? I always place the burden on the men because, see, family, let's call it what it is. A lot of you can attest to this. No matter where you've seen the footage, whether Chicago, New York, wherever, most of what you see is a bunch of fighting age men. They got women and children with them, but the men outnumber the women and children from what I've been seeing. Come on now, let's just keep it a buck now. So now you think about, I got to go here. Best for the ones that try to come here and try to get disrespectful to us. If you that weak and you fled like that, you can't say nothing to us who did not flee in large numbers to anywhere. We stay here and deal with our issues and build. See, this is why I don't tolerate any disrespect from them people, man. I don't. I want them to do well in their homeland. Now, if you're going to come up here legally. But later on in the broadcast, y'all going to hear something that will be a potential solution to this. It's not going to happen in this administration, but it just may happen in the upcoming election season, depending on what outcome of the presidential election will be. We'll get to that part shortly here. Let's let it continue.
Understand U.S. foreign policy and what's happening with Venezuela. Trust me, I understand. But a lot of them don't want to be in Latin America because they couldn't get free stuff. You understand? So they heard, well, look, you can get free stuff. And the first person that we was talking about, him and his family did get free stuff for 6 months. That's why they keep coming. Oh, I can get free stuff. And some of them are getting it. Some of them. But it is offensive to the taxpayer because they're paying it. They're not getting anything in their neighborhoods. You're taking away people's field house. You want to put was it Brighton Park? That's what the Asians and Latinos was mad at.
And see, let's point this out also. Brother Phil, of course, is using the term free in a general context, but somebody's paying for it. And that somebody is us, the taxpayers. So it's not free. Everything that's so-called free, somebody's paying for it. Okay? So, yes, he's using the term free in general context. So let it continue.
By putting a camp of them over there, they were pissed and mad about that. Even in New York, Staten Island was pissed. They were trying to block the buses from coming over there. Because Eric Adams say, hey, this migrant crisis is coming to a neighborhood near you. He told you that. But trust me, I'm going to keep repeating this. I know someone personally who work on the border. I asked them, how is it was better under Trump or Biden? He said Trump. He said because Trump kept them in Mexico. He said we did not have the problems that we have now. He said the moment Trump got out of office, Biden got in office, he said, whoop, floodgates open. And they just start coming in, overwhelming our border patrol personnel.
Keep in mind, during that Zoom call that leaked, what the Jim Crow Joe said, you all going to have to get more used to working with Hispanics now. They make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do. You remember when he put the pen hand down in the Zoom call? So I just want to keep reminding people of that because, see, going into this election season, you cannot say this time, those of you that jumped the Democratic Party Kool-Aid, you cannot say that nobody told you, or you really shouldn't even have to be told. Even by new black media, you should be able to see the results that's going on around you in the nation now. But we're making sure to inform you and put it together where it makes logical sense if you have it, because we all know common sense is not that common anymore. Okay? So going forward, if you choose to make the same choice, we don't want to hear nothing. Because there's going to be a lot of us going to be like, you know what? We don't want to hear nothing about that. You had the chance to make a different decision, and you sit here, let these people scare you and give you symbolism. And now you back in the same boat that you were before. And see, I'm going to be blunt. Black America cannot afford that. We can't afford 4 more years of Biden. We can't. Look around wherever you are listening to this broadcast and ask yourself the question, in Black America, can we afford 4 more years of what's going on now? Let's let it continue.
Think about it. All these people are coming across. We're not really dealing with them like that, like the Border Patrol agents are. They're being overwhelmed. And they got to deal with the cartel members trafficking these people in. Some of these people are trafficking drugs in for the cartels. It's all kind of things that our Border Patrol is dealing with. And nobody really talks about what the Border Patrol is dealing with. Some of them get hurt. Some of them have lost their lives out there trying to protect the border, which in my opinion, if I had to be the president, I'll put the military on the border and say, ain't nobody coming in here. I said, we are suspending our asylum laws. No asylum. You go somewhere else. You want to go somewhere, you can go to Canada.
Let me back Brother Phillip on that point as well. If you've been over here and subscribed to my channel for any length of time and heard me address this issue, I've said before, that's one of the solutions that could slow and stop that to a grinding halt. Let's go over it again. You have a National Guard. You have reservists that are over here. That gives them something to do. The National Guard is supposed to guard the nation. Put them down there on that border. Give them the same security protocol that Area 51, Dugway Proving Grounds, and some of these other places, okay, like Pear Blossom and all that has, where if you go wandering over there, past a certain point, they have the right to shoot you. See, I'm not going to be nice with it. You want to come over here and break the law, because we can't do that in other country. We'll see how bad you really want it then when you see them signs up and you see that military down there, like, listen, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to break the law? Is it really worth you getting some golden peanuts plugged into you? So some extra golden accessories tagged to you. I'm just saying. See, that's when you will see if they really want to get over here that bad or not. Okay, because they're not running from hardship. What they is, they're a bunch of freeloaders, and I'm gonna call them what they are, what they disrespectful ass. Because see, they all come over here and then they become anti-black and turn on us, the people that made it possible for them to come up here in the first place. And see, I'm gonna tell you something else that needs to be amended. I'll roll some people the wrong way, but it is what it is. In addition to making that sanctuary city BS illegal, that whole nonsense over here under the 14th Amendment, where if you just come over here and you drop off a kid, you have a kid over here, now that kid's in America, that needs to go. No. If you are not already an American citizen, and nope, your kids are not American just because you come over here and get knocked up and have some kids. Nah, I would change that forever. I'd be like, oh, that's the end of that. That's over with. Yeah, see, a lot of people say, oh, you harsh. You damn right I'm harsh. For me, I'm speaking for me personally. I'm the kind of guy that when I see a problem, I'm looking at what causes it first, do an assessment. Like, okay, this is where the problem's coming from. Once I do an accurate assessment, start brainstorming solutions. Once you get applicable solutions together, implement them without apologies. Because every other country would do that if we tried that. Just think about that for a minute, okay? So that I would just clean it all up. I would nope. I don't care who gets mad. And see, boy, like I said, those undocumented that's already over here, they will be in for a rude awakening, boy. It'll be round the clock. We getting you up out of here too. I don't care how long you've been here. You over here illegally, you gotta go. We can't do it in your country. You're not gonna do it in ours. It'll continue.
Because you can't come here. We need to figure some things out here in the United States of America. We got to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? Now, it was interesting because Trump told a story.
Let me add further what my vision for the border would be. You know how Trump was saying, build the wall? I'm like, no. Them little fences and all that, no, that's not the kind of wall that I would build. Family, you want to know what my idea of the wall would be? Give me a couple thumbs up in chat if you want to know what my idea of the wall would be. Okay, because some of you probably already heard me say this, but I'm gonna say it again if you want to hear what my idea would be. If they did it this way, oh boy, that would fix that border issue overnight. It really would. The only way that anybody would bypass the border issue with what I'm about to say would be if they had inside help. Okay. I'm gonna tell you what my idea of the wall would be. That entire southern stretch of border will be one giant military base about 10 miles wide before you even get into the country. Okay? So that way you got to cross 10 miles of military base. It will look like the Great Wall of China itself for one big military base. Just imagine the Great Wall of China, but a military base where soldiers are permanently stationed 24/7. You live here. This is your job, National Guard. This is your new station. If you're National Guard, here's where you're going to be stationed. Rotate the troops in and out as need be. But hey, that just traipsing over the border, the minute that you cross out, hey buddy, you on United States military base property, we have the right to shoot you. That's how you handle that. That's my ideal build the wall. I hadn't heard any of them saying that. And we know why. Because don't let the Republicans fool you. Some of them like to get them over here so they can benefit off the cheap labor. But if you really want to see that problem get solved, try that. Okay? Because there's countries that have that implemented on their borders. Say what you want about Kim Jong-un and over there in North Korea, but you go and look at the demilitarized zone over there in between North Korea and South Korea, okay? You go hop over there without permission if you want to, watch what happens to you. We need that same policy down there on that southern border. Let it continue.
About when all the people kept coming from, he said, El Salvador, and he said that, well, how much money did...
Hey, you absolutely right, Project Leroy. Tell them about gun line, boss. you damn right. Hey, hit that hopping bob over there. They'll stay over there where they belong then.
We give El Salvador, I think they said 73 million. And he said, okay, well, if they don't stop bringing their people up here to our country, then we're going to just stop paying them. And he said he cut it off. And he said the next day the president called and said, hey, what's going on? You cut off the aid? He said, yeah, because you won't take your people back when we deport them. He said all of a sudden they said they start taking them back. So, okay, if that works, then that's what they need to do. So, okay, y'all won't take your people back or you send them up here, we're not going to pay you anything. So it couldn't be me because I'd be cutting off all the foreign aid. I said, no foreign aid until the citizens of the United States get right.
And see, like Trump or not, that's how you run a country right there. You don't sit there begging and whining about things and, oh, well, they just keep coming. Trump was like, okay, see, this is one thing I will respect about Donald Trump as far as getting things done, okay? I don't have to personally like him, okay? I don't. See, I operate off of what gets done. I don't have to personally like somebody. We deal with people we don't personally like every day, okay? That's something a lot of our people got to get over. That childlike mindset, you got to like somebody. No, we don't have to like them. Who gets things done, okay? When he told them, he was like, okay, you want to play games? We deport them. You don't want to take them back? Cut that check off. And like Phil said, I'll cut it off anyway. But you saw how quick he got that phone call. Hey, Holmes, what happened to the money? Hey, you gonna take your people back? Hey, Donald Trump, well, you know we're gonna be petty over here again. Donald Trump adjusted that toupee, man. Shoot, he probably eating a cheeseburger and some chips or something at a time. You know what I'm saying? He was like, yeah, okay, now you talking. Now you have to speak to people in the language that they understand. And see, if it's not going to be physical, everybody understand when you cut the money off. I don't care who you are. That is a universal language, okay? That's how he got. And look, overnight, got that problem solved. We need that right now, okay? So let's let it continue.
And so we got to work on a new deal, right? Like FDR. We got to do that in modern times because American citizens, they need help, and we can't help, the American people by giving all this money to all these foreign countries. I mean, shoot, if anything, these foreign countries owe America. They owe America so much because America keep them papered up. If you go to foreignassistance.gov, you can see how much money that's being given. And like I said, I've done that before, but we can do a whole podcast just on foreignassistance.gov, and you can see exactly where all your tax dollars is going. And it don't matter if it's Democrat or Republican there. It don't matter. They all do it. But why the American people don't say, hey, enough is enough. Well, you imagine all the millions of dollars that could be put right in our country, in your local communities, and fixing the issues here. You understand what I'm saying? But let me know what y'all think, ladies and gentlemen, about, the migrants saying they're going to go back home. See, a place like Chicago with brutal weather, Detroit got brutal weather. Yeah, that's a deterrent. But places like here in Texas, we don't really have brutal weather like that. It comes in waves at times, but it's not like Chicago where it can be constant. So that's going to kind of save them from the migrant crisis, at least during the winter months. But after the winter months, hey, they may start coming back again. But we definitely going to keep an eye on this story.
Salute to our brothers and sisters up there in Chicago for taking the right stance. Keep the pressure on. Do not back down. Because now that you got those people's attention, next thing that needs to be done, and this has been brought up before, Brother Phil and many others have brought up, got to wait 6 months before they can institute a recall on Jackass Johnson, Mayor Jackass Johnson. That's what I call him up there in Chicago. And it takes 2 aldermen to go and bring that issue forward. when the time comes, when after the 6-month period has been expired there, and they can get that emotion. They need to put that in his face. Be like, listen, for what you did, we got to punish you politically for that. We got to recall you, buddy. After what we've been through with Lightfoot, see, before we go in, I know y'all wonder, why do I have this coon on the screen? Oh, we about to get to that in a minute. But listen, this is what I want my people to start doing. All of us who are foundational Black Americans in this country. Look at what you've gone through, particularly the brothers and sisters up there in Chicago. After what they've suffered under Lightfoot, you don't need people mistreating you like that. You deserve to be treated better than that as a taxpaying citizen of this country. Okay? The very foundation of it. So no, keep the pressure on Jackass Johnson up there and get his little he look just like this creature up here, the coon, you know, he does, and get him up out of office. Get that recall popping as soon as possible. Until then, keep doing what you're doing. Your brothers and sisters across the nation support you. But the reason that I have this up here, we got to deal with Mr. Patrick Bet-David. Oh, yeah, they ain't gonna like this broadcast tonight, fam. We're gonna show you why. People like our good brother Jason Black tell you got to watch these old niggas. You got to watch them. You're gonna see how despicable these bootlicks are. Bootlick, because you're gonna see who it is in a minute. Some of you probably recognize them. You're going to see how despicable they are as long as they get their little butter biscuits and their crumbs there and sell out the next generation. Because, see, going forward, if everybody pays attention to policies and numbers and you start asking yourself one question as a Black person, why is it that every time it comes to something being specifically done for us, we get told we have to wait? When we got people that aren't even citizens coming over here, they're not waiting. They ain't voting for nobody. Just skip straight to the top of the line, okay? Start asking yourself, what's so different about us? The reason we have to wait. Especially if you're just going to deal in specifics with the Democratic Party, when you're the majority of the Democratic Party voting base, okay? But we finna get into this Patrick Bet-David thing here because, see, this was sent to me by a relative of mine, Ashley. And, man, listen, I'm going to have to cook these jokers here. I'm going to have to cook them, but it's going to add to what we were discussing here earlier in the broadcast tonight regarding these immigrants, because as you know, Patrick Bet-David is an Iranian immigrant, okay? Doing his best little wannabe white man impersonation. But we're going to get into what he's talking about here with his chosen bootleg. Let's get into it.
I want to play this clip to you. Did you ever have any interactions with MLK or Malcolm X?
Yes, I did. I met Dr. King. In fact, he came to, I did my civil rights work in Westchester, Pennsylvania. That's the home of Baird Rustin. And so Rustin would bring Dr. King to town to bring the media. Then they would focus on our local issues.
And
Baird Rustin, the federal informant, by the way, and fair use. Oh, we finna cook tonight. Baird Rustin, the federal informant, for the young people that don't know the history. I know everybody that's my age and older knows the history. Federal informant. Look him up. He was a disgrace. He's nobody to look up to. And see, that's another thing, another pattern that I want the young people to start paying attention to, which is why we try to give them the history in a format where they can learn it for themselves. Notice the bootlicks always hold up the people who were a disgrace to our people, okay? Just want you to keep that in mind because he's going to display that throughout what we're going to analyze here. Let's get back to it.
You met him face to face.
Oh, yeah.
And what was it like when you met Dr. King?
Just a wonderful experience. He was the one who said that we must reach down into the deep, dark regions of our soul and sign and ink our own Emancipation Proclamation. Malcolm X said the same thing. He said, our destiny is never determined by what an oppressor does or does not do. He said, our destiny is determined by what we do. Frederick Douglass said the same thing.
But those messages are being spun today. They're not, these are two heroes to two different sects of the African American community sometimes, and some the same. But it's spun in a different way, where it's still coming more from the victimhood mentality. It's coming more from the entitled mentality, not coming from the fact that we can stand up and do something about it. I want to play this clip to you by Malcolm X. It's just audio. The video isn't out there. It's just purely audio. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Go ahead and play.
Now, family, I want you to pay close attention to what Patrick Bet-David and his chosen Sambo there said. And I want you to pay attention to this tactic that he's about to try to use. Because, see, due to the difference in ideologies between Dr. Martin Luther King and our good brother, the Honorable Malcolm X, it's easier to take Dr. Martin Luther King out of context and cherry pick things he said. It's a lot harder to do it with Brother Malcolm because he was straightforward on everything. But if you're a skilled enough snake, you can find a bootlick and try to do what he's about to do here. We're going to get into exactly what that is because, see, this is going to be a very valuable lesson. It's for our younger black audience over here tonight. Let it play.
This.
The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leader, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress.
Now, when you hear this speech is given in the 60s, maybe late 50s and 60s, because he died, I want to say, February of 1965. MLK died, Dr. King died April 4th of 68, right? So this message is being given at a time where it's like, wait a minute, were white liberals the same then as they are today? Have they been at it for this long of a time where even Malcolm X said this? How do you process what Malcolm X just said in this message?
Now, you already see what he's about to do here with this bootleg, and I'm going to let the bootleg speak in a minute. But see, I find this very offensive, and I'm going to tell you why. You have this immigrant up here, Patrick Bet-David, yes, talking to you, Patrick. You have this immigrant up here with this disrespectful anti-black ass, trying to only focus on what Brother Malcolm said about the liberals, which he's our grandmaster teacher and ancestor was 100% right on that. No argument from me. We all agree on that. What he's leaving out is the conservatives are no better. Now, watch what this bootlick does here, okay? See, they all have the same look about themselves, too, when you start to look at them, okay? They all have the same look. I want you to study everything about it. And I want you to listen to what he's about to say here. Because, see, the reason why we have to point this out, when they keep trying to use these types of tactics, our younger people don't know any better. And if we don't teach them the truth about both sides of these things, they'll be like, well, you know, he's making some good points. He's kind of right on that, because they're never going to criticize those who are in the conservative party and vice versa with the liberals, okay? They're not going to criticize their own is what I'm saying. Why don't you listen to this bootleg?
Totally agree, and it's been the foundation of everything that I have done since then. That's what drove me. I go further by saying that many of the black elected officials and others commit treason against their own people by using race to deflect attention away from their own failures. In Baltimore, when Freddie Gray was killed, that's when, to deflect attention away from why are blacks failing in school systems and in cities run by their own people for the past 50 years. If racism were the issue, then tell me, why are they failing?
Okay, bootleg, I'm going to tell you. We've said it for years over here in New Black Media Spaces. There's a big difference between a powerful person and a position of power, okay? Big difference. All of these people that he's naming, because he's basically criticizing Democrats and liberals, and he's right. He's right on that. But you're not going to sit here and make it sound like the other side is any better. You're not going to be able to do that because, see, no matter which black face they put in charge of something, be it liberal or conservative, who's the ones running the show? Who's pulling the strings? They work for a system of white supremacy. That's the part the bootleg ain't going to tell you. Okay. Yeah. See, look, Let me talk to you white conservatives too. Let me go ahead and make this clear to y'all, right? Yes, we are fed up with that Democratic Party, those of us that have sense, but you're not going to come over here and just try to make yourselves look like, oh, well, see, guys, yeah, you're right. You get off the plantation. Come on over here to our plantation. No. You will exchange tangibles or you will get nothing. Now, it's different in local elections. That's different. But this national election, hey, you're going to have to come up with some tangibles. You're going to have to. It's not going to be we just hop over there and do it and get nothing and vote for you for 60 years. That's not going to happen, okay? You're going to learn to exchange tangibles. Not going to be a repeat of the process, all right? I'm just making sure you know that because, see, if you want black people to take you seriously, you better start looking at voting as what you know it is to other groups. It's a business transaction. It's not a feelings transaction. It's not a personal transaction. It's not a like you don't like me transaction. It is a business transaction, okay? So I'm going to let the bootleg continue rambling, but white conservatives, if that's what you want, if you want black people's vote, you better come to the table talking business. Let's let it continue.
But the answer that they give is, well, the police are agents of white supremacy. There's always a racial deflection that prevents them from taking responsibility of why they are running their systems. But many of them are hypocrites because they don't live by the same rules. Eleanor Holmes Norton, Jesse Jackson Jr., all of them sent their children to private schools in Washington while opposing school choice for poor black people. So you have this contradiction, but race really is being used as a shield and a sword, a shield to deflect attention away from their failure to address problems that were promised by the civil rights movement.
How can you manipulate for this long, though?
Okay, so see, for a lot of young black people listening to me, you probably wonder, how do you counter that talking point when one of these old bootlegs start talking about people are playing the race card, using race as a shield to deflect away from that? This is why being in strong command of accurate information is key. I'm going to tell you how you beat that. And it relies on what I've always said on this channel to pay attention to: policy and numbers. Go to the FBI, hate crime statistics, and look up and see who the number one victims of hate crimes in this country have been going back the last 10 years. It's us. It's not. Asians are nowhere close, okay? Even though they jumped the line and gave them a hate crime bill. That's how you hit that bootleg in the face and say, okay, if race is just this imaginary thing and everybody just talking about race, why do we get affected with different racial issues? You can look at studies done by Citibank where they showed how racism in the financial institutions have cost America billions of dollars, okay? Take it a step further. Democrats, since you say black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, let's go here. When you look at the infant mortality rate amongst black babies, why is that infant mortality rate not the same in any other group except for ours? You don't think that's medical racism? Come on now. Look, it would be one thing if these numbers were just, if nobody could figure it out. Oh, wow, these babies are dying in every racial demographic. How is it only just black women got the highest deaths? Y'all give birth just like any other woman. Come on now. See, I'm showing you how you hit these bootlegs in the face. Because see, this is the stuff Patrick Bet-David is going to ask him, and they let them tap dance around. This is why they are some of the most despicable maggots on the planet. And this is why those of us in new black media like myself, Brother TBA, and others have zero respect for them. They're sellouts. They mean our people no earthly good. We're going to keep our foot on their neck. Let it continue.
One may ask, how can you manipulate? 2012, 93% of African Americans voted Democrat. 2016, 89% of African Americans voted Democrat. 2020, 87%. So 93, 89, 87 voted Democrat. Malcolm X said this at the year that he said, this is 60-something years. How can you manipulate an entire voting bloc, an entire community for this many decades?
Because
see, I'm going to tell you what would have happened had I been on this panel. I'll be like, yeah, okay, you're right. Brother Malcolm said that, and he was right about it. I'll tell you what clips I bet you he won't pull up. Family, who in here believes that he will pull up the speech by Brother Malcolm, the ballot or the bullet? Oh, I bet you he won't quote nothing from that. Oh no, because see, like I said, it's easy to cherry pick stuff Dr. Martin Luther King said because of his stance, trying to use nonviolence to get things done. You can't really do that with a lot of what Malcolm said. Now, look, he's the one of the only ones I've seen that's been bold enough to try that, because that's about the only thing that you can take and try to put your little slant on it. But see, if you start looking back into everything else Malcolm was talking about, I bet you won't talk about that. Oh, boy, see, it wouldn't have did for me to be there. I would have challenged him on other things. I'm like, oh, so you like Malcolm, huh? I got some stuff we can talk about that Malcolm said, too. Let's get into that. But I'm going to show y'all something here in a minute, too, because we're going to take a trip down memory lane with a bit of this history here. I'm going to let this bootleg speak a little bit more, though.
Race is a very emotional, deeply emotional issue. It's like the state of Israel is to Jews. It's an emotional issue, like abortion is to the right to life. And so it is a deeply, and they know it, and they do manipulate it that long. But also it's because Republicans have not been competitive either. When they were successful. Look at Dick Riordan in L.A. He was the first Republican mayor in 35 years. How did he do that? Dick Riordan planted charitably 2 years before he harvested politically. He went to the low-income Hispanic community and said, what is it that you need to rebuild your community? And he brought some of his friends to the table, and they built a state-of-the-art facility so that those communities could engage in the after-school activities to teach English. It was only after he planted charitably did those liberal Democratic leaders embrace Dick Riordan, and he became the first Republican mayor in 35 years. And when he got reelected by 60% of the demographic, DeSantis in 2018.
Let me stop this bootleg right there, because this Riordan guy that he keeps going on about, go look this up. He didn't just advocate for them to get a center for them to come to and learn English. He brought economic tangibles to the Hispanic community. See, they say this stuff like you can't go back and look up what happened. See, I'm showing you why we don't have any respect for them. Because, see, family, my young black people, never trust anybody that tells you a half truth. Have people deal with you in good faith 100%, or they don't deal with you at all. Go look up the tangibles that he brought to that Hispanic community, the Riordan guy he's talking about. Okay, this stuff is easily verifiable. But see, I'm going to let him continue babbling on, because I got something for him in a minute. Y'all know me. I got hot receipts over here. I'm going to let him go ahead and put his foot in his mouth a little bit more, though.
Got elected because of the black vote. He ran against Gillum, right? Mm-hmm. Andrew Gillum. But DeSantis only won by 32,000 votes because 100,000 low-income black parents voted because of his position on choice in education. They voted for him, even though Barack Obama and Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, I can't let him skate past that, because bootleg, now that they've done that, how's that working out with the education system down there in Florida under DeSantis now taking all the black history out of schools? Notice it's only black history that they're doing that with, right? Huh? How's that working out, bootleg? Oh, he ain't gonna talk about that, though. Oh, boy, see, this is light work, man. It's too easy to deal with these fools when you understand exactly how to break them down with their nonsense by paying attention to what's going on. Let it continue.
Free was brought in to campaign for Gillum. So you have 100,000 blacks voting against Obama and voting against Oprah to elect because they made a decision based upon the content of the issue. And not enough Republicans did what DeSantis did. And when they do, I think they will be competitive. But apathy is what's keeping blacks. Also, if you look in some of those high crime neighborhoods, in the mayor's race, only 8 to 10% of the people vote. Because
oh, here he goes with that. Well, you see, the crowd would be different if you vote. Let me tell you something, man. You want to solve high crime anywhere in the country, get the economics in that area right. Because, see, let's just keep it a buck. Most of this crime that's going on is economic related. If you gave most, I'm not going to say all, because you got knuckleheads out there in every race. But if most people where they live had stable economic opportunities, they wouldn't go out there in the streets taking risks and penitentiary chances, man. No, the crime always goes down where you get economics right in the area. You can look right here in America and see that. The places that are economically prosperous, crime is very low. You can go outside of America and look at that, okay? See, I'm trying to teach our younger ones how to actually process this and deal with these bootlicks and break things down because, see, they're going to be the ones someday that challenge these people after we're gone. And they have to have a foundation or a basis to know how to do it. So let it continue.
There's just such a deep apathy in those communities. But low-income blacks are sleeping giants. They're going to wake up one day soon.
Low-income blacks are going to wake up one day.
Wake up and realize how they're being pimped, how they're being used.
What's the tipping point? What needs to happen for them to wake up? Because it's been 60 years.
The violence that is you're seeing now, a lot of unrest. 80% of black Americans polled do not support defund the police. 80%. But you won't know that by looking at the media. You know, that, and 60% of blacks do not believe that racial discrimination is the biggest barrier to their flourishing. And so the challenge that we have is to, and what we're doing at the Wood.
See, Bootlick, what you're trying to do is, and he'll let you get that off of his show, but it came across my desk and I'm going to dissect it. Racial discrimination and economic discrimination are tied together when it comes to black Americans. You can't prove me otherwise. I don't care whether you use the Citibank study. I don't care whether you look at the average job market. Okay. I don't care whether you look at when you go to banks to get loans and you have the same amount of credit, same type of credit score as somebody who's not black. Okay. Specifically white folks. And you got discrimination there. I don't care if you look at all the countless stories that many of us have covered in New Black Media, where black people get ready to try to sell their homes and then they want to lowball the price. It gets so bad sometimes black people have to have white folks stand in for them to get market value pricing and get treated fairly. So see, bootlicks conveniently leave all this stuff out, and I'm going to tell you why. Because see, as long as they're a good little pet bootlick, at least until white supremacists get ready to break their tools, they live somewhat of a gilded cage lifestyle. Oh, they're good, boy. Their master take good care of them. They get a little pet on the head, get to come around white folks, you know what I'm saying, and look like the special Negro in the room. But, like I said, and mark my words, I'm going to double down on it. All of them, just like Candace Owens is about to learn here soon, they always break their tools, like Professor Blatchrude and Neely Fuller Jr. have always told us to continue.
Center is giving voice to those people. We have about a couple thousand women who are Voices of Black Mothers United. These are women, moms who lost children to urban violence. They're coming, the leading cause of death for black kids is homicide. In Silicon Valley is suicide among teenagers. And in Appalachia is prescription drugs. Well, the Woodson Center brought together representatives from those three communities. We call it the Mothers Consortium. And it was just common ground there. We were united. And so what we must do is we must deracialize race. But it's not enough to talk about.
Did you hear this senile, shiftless, gutless, dishonorable bootleg? We must deracialize race. See, let me tell you what I despise. And see, this is why I try to give you accurate information over here, particularly our sisters, because I know y'all be like, GBS, you can be hard on sisters sometimes, but I'm hard on you because I love my people. Okay. I want us all to be better together, men and women. What I really despise, though, is when bootlegs like this, because each comes from that church crowd, they go and try to play on women by giving them symbolism and playing on their pain, because that's a very heartbreaking thing if you lost a child. No parent should have to bury their child. Okay. I understand that. But instead of addressing what the issue would be to solve the crime in the area, which would be economics first. I guarantee you he's not talking about improving economics in the community to get some of that crime down. And see, I guarantee this bootlick isn't saying this either. When they want to clean up crime somewhere, family, they go and do it. Case in point, look at any gentrified community. When they got ready to do that, notice how they start cracking down on the crime in the area and clean it up. Case in point, recently, just go and look out in San Francisco. Gavin Newsom admitted that, you know, when they started cleaning things up, when they knew the Chinese or immigrants were coming over here, they came out in a minute. They was grinning about, yeah, we done had to clean up the streets. Yeah. So when they want to clean something up, they can. See, this is a beautiful time to be alive now, because today It's not like before. With the advent of technology, you can get the truth instantly, just like that, at the tip of your fingers, if you got sense enough to use a smartphone or whatever for more than that, because we're in the era of the smartphone and dumbass. Let's just be honest about that, okay? But for those of us with sense that actually use our technological devices and on-the-ground grassroots work, comparing notes, actually going and looking up policies and numbers, paying attention to what's going on, you can't get things over on us like you used to. No, not the news media, the mainstream media, not either political party, and they hate that, okay? See, it's harder than ever to pull the wool over people's eyes. Today, since they know that, let me tell you, the only way that they can fool you is if you allow them to, by being lazy enough not to make sure that you're duly informed on things, and then taking the attitude where you be like, well, man, how many of y'all have heard this before? Well, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that, man. I'll just take care of me, or, man, my football, my entertainment, I'm trying to get some Beyonce concert tickets, stuff like that. As long as you can do the little stuff that keep you pacified and entertained. See, this is why that pandemic was a blessing in disguise as well. And condolences to anybody that lost loved ones during that time. But it also allowed us to be still and pay attention to what really matters in this country. And some of us have not gone back to sleep. Okay, enough of us now where it's a problem for this particular Democrat Party. But see, you conservatives, you're not going to be able to finesse your way into like getting our votes like that. Cause look, like I said, local elections are one thing. But as far as dealing with us as a collective on a greater scale, you're going to have to come up with some tangibles now. We're going to talk business or we're not going to talk at all. So let it continue.
What you're against, you got to talk about what you're for. We should be for the saving of the children's lives. And so what we're doing at the Woodson Center is mobilizing mothers from those three communities to come together and say that we must do everything we can to fill the hole that's in the hearts of our children that causes them to devalue their life to the point where they're willing to take their own or take someone else's. It's different sides of the same coin.
So did you find out what the reasoning was for homicide, for suicide, and for prescription drugs? Like, what's the reason they're doing it? Emptiness.
Emptiness. When you keep telling,
listen to how he's talking around the main issue. You want to help those kids and change their perspective? Look, let's just keep it above. You pick any city in this country right now, particularly pertaining to black people, okay? We're gonna stick in our community. Wherever it's high crime, you see the youths out there doing things that's going to get them locked up, put in prison for life, or either killed. You go talk to a lot of them young kids, you better have some type of tangible solution if you want to get their attention. Because if they're out there in situations and they're homeless, and especially like in a city like Chicago at this time of year, because that's the reality of some black child right now as we speak across this country. They don't have nobody. They out there trying to do whatever they can, which is a more grievous insult when you have illegal aliens come over and getting prioritized before them. Okay? You stop and let that sink in for a minute while this bootlick is talking about intangible things. See, this church crowd, his kind, okay? They love to manipulate people. See, I'm going to tell you what I would love to see with bootlicks like him, because he's one of many. When you are accustomed to taking advantage of women like that and playing on their pain, you go to talk to them and run your little hustle one day, and all of them confront you with like, yeah, we've heard that. All this make you feel good stuff. We process our pain enough to deal with that. Now we're trying to stop the problem, and we're going to need tangibles to do that. Are you ready to help us get them? Oh boy, his mouth would hit the floor. He would get man, I wasn't expecting this. I don't know what to do. Oh boy, he'd get to calling his puppet masters then. See, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And look, shout out to the sisters across the nation, because some of you are starting to do that. Even the elders, those that are on code, going to these city council meetings, they're hitting them with the facts. They're like, I'm not trying to hear all that, to the point where some of these bootleg Democrats and politicians are getting up and walking out of the conversation, okay? So see, hold their feet to the fire with what matters. Start talking about the same things they do for other communities. You're going to have to bring that right on over here if you want us to take you serious. Let it continue.
You keep broadcasting to people that they live in a country that despises them, particularly with low-income blacks, that you live in a country that despises you, like the 1619 Project said, that racism defines all whites are villains and victimizers, and they're privileged.
Nobody has said all whites are villains and victimizers. No, we're talking about white supremacists. That's a big difference. Nobody said all white people are white supremacists. See, this type of crap right here, that type of gaslighting is completely despicable. Nobody's come out and said that. Now, what we can find in both parties, really, especially in the conservative party, we can find sitting officials or either candidates that have come out and used direct white supremacist language. Come on now, we've seen it. Covered these stories for years over here. Tommy 2 reveal anybody? Oh, there's many more. That's just one. I'll be here naming names all night if I start going down that rabbit hole. You don't ever hear him mention that, though. And see, where he's finna go with this, these are the type of sambozos they love. At least as long as there's use for them. Because see, here's the thing that's going to terrify these sambozos, and some of them finna start to see it sooner than later. Is it getting to a point in this country now, especially under this Biden administration, where when you put white society, the dominant society, when you put their backs to the wall, they're worried primarily about their dwindling numbers, okay? They're dying off faster than they're being born. It's just facts, okay? When you put their backs against the wall, they start cutting the fat. They be like, okay, yeah, these sambos and coons, yeah, they were useful for a time, but no, we got to draw all the resources back and circle the wagons around getting our people together. They're going to cut you off, bootlicks. Your time is coming to an end. Keep your eye on Candace Owens. Mark my words, it is coming. The dust up between her and Ben Shapiro, the audacity to tell her. Talking as if, see, this thing with the Candace Owens type, before we get back to this. They get to thinking because they marry a white person, and some of the males will try, but the women are really bad. The bed wenches, the wenches of Crafton. It's called them by their royal title. The wenches of Crafton and the bucks of Bennington. The wenches of Crafton become delusional, especially the non-FBA ones, and they start to think that, okay, I'm important. I've got this white husband. I'm basically one of you now, and I can actually talk back to white men. Candace, you better go and look at what happened to Tommy Lauren when she got out of line with white men. Now, if they put their own women back in place, you think they're not going to put your little old black ass back in place just because you married to Zaddy? Zaddy going to check you in a minute. Keep y'all in that situation, family. I'm going to leave it alone. Time is the great reveal of all things, like I said. But let's get back to our bootleg, shall we?
That message gets communicated to blacks that perhaps the reason that this is happening is because they are unworthy. So the message of unworthiness comes from the very people who are supposed to be social justice warriors. And you say to a child, a white child, that you're devalued because you're privileged and you are an oppressor.
No teacher has walked up to no white child and taught that. No curriculum has ever been in school that teaches that. Teaching the truth about American history. See, look, black children have had to sit in schools for decades and listen to what was taught and done to us. The half-truths they told us, only partial of our history about what was done to our ancestors. We didn't run around where our heads low feeling bad. And nobody said, hey, if you teach this to these little black kids, it's going to make them feel bad. Nobody was worried about that. But now all of a sudden, because you're trying to rewrite history, it's going to make the little white kids feel bad. But see, let me tell you something. This is something, too, that's going to work against white supremacy. And I'm finna terrify them, so don't be surprised if they start messing with the stream. What's going to end up happening is, one, we're in an era now where you can get access to the truth faster than ever. And the young ones that are listening to those of us in new black media, they're going to soak these messages up and they're going to start passing them to their peers. When your little white children start repeating actual history to you, just like they caught on to hip hop music. I made you nervous then, didn't I, white supremacists? Yeah, that's what you get for running over here listening to black folks. Yeah, I want you to hear this, though. I want you to hear this, white folks. That's what's going to happen when you try to erase the truth, okay? When you try to erase the truth, that's what happens. It's not easy to hide the truth. The truth will always have its day no matter what you do, okay? That's the one thing you need to remember. The universe always corrects its mistakes. All right. So yeah, that's what they need to understand. But see, this bootleg boy, he tapping hard for them biscuits because he know this might be the last batch of biscuits he'll ever get. Let's let it continue.
Those are very dangerous messages that we're sending to our children when we keep saying to them that they live in a country that despises them because they're white and derides them because they're black. I mean, that's a very poisonous message. And
you old sambozo, you, those little black children understand that they're treated differently from white kids in school today. That's nothing somebody has to tell them. They see how they're treated. Oh my God. See, this is just disgusting, man. I'm playing it for a reason though, because I want you to see just how far they'll go to sell out the rest of us and sit up here in front of Zaddy and Massa, we'll call him what he is, and sit here and spend it. They'll be white supremacist mouthpieces. This is why they keep them around for now. But like I said, that's coming to an end.
That's why at the Woodson Center, we're doing everything we can to mobilize that consensus among the people suffering the problem.
I want to show you this. So I'm online yesterday, and I'm preparing for this year. I go and look up 2 articles. One, I want to see what ACLU says about the problem of black Americans, and then I go look up PragerU. Okay, I'm sure you're familiar with both organizations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me pause it right now. I would be remiss if I didn't do my due diligence and go ahead and inform my audience of this. PragerU is a tether factory. They recruit them, they get them over here and feed them anti-black talking points, okay? Do your research on PragerU. I've covered some of their bootlicks many a times on this channel. Go down to archives. If you want to know about PragerU, I've covered that content. Many other people have as well. But see, Patrick Bet-David, I've got a question for you. Because you're an immigrant. Yes, we have to keep reminding these people that you're not, no matter how you cut your hair, no matter how much you try to get surgery and try to look like a white man, you're not one, okay? Why don't you put that much focus on your homeland and what's going on over there in Iran right now? How about you do that, huh? Why are you so worried? You got black people on the brain day and night. We live rent-free in these people's head for real, like our good brother Tariq Nasheed says, okay? We live rent-free in their head. So why don't you focus on your issues and problems? You're always looking at what we need to do, huh? But I got something for him. I'm going to let him go here in a minute here, and I'm going to go ahead and start breaking his ass down from the A row to the Z row. Let's let him continue.
So let's go through the ACLU one. If you can kind of pull that one up first, Rob, that'd be great. Okay, so go all the way to the top of the article so we can kind of read what it says. So here's ACLU, 5 truths about black history. If we want to understand the state of race in America, we need to know our past, particularly the painful parts. Okay, so to go down now and zoom in on what it says. Go up, go, keep going, keep going, keep going. America was founded on white supremacy. I mean, this is what ACLU says straight.
Prove that it wasn't, Patrick Bet-David. Prove that it wasn't. Because we can prove that it was. Oh, yes, we can over here. Y'all know how we get down. See, I would love to have a debate with him. He won't talk to people like us over here in New Black Media, though. I would love to have a debate with him. And he bring up something that asinine and try to act like that's not the case? Huh? The mere fact that there was chattel slavery alone, what do you think that is? That's a part of white supremacy, Patrick Bet-David. You claim to be a very intelligent man, but you sound very incompetent to me. But I get it. You gaslighting to play your little white supremacist game, but it's in poor taste, sir. This does not make you look very intelligent.
Up. The first slave arrived here in 1619. Again, going back to the 1619 project. Between 1619 and 1865, Virginia passed more than 130 slave statutes to regulate the ownership of black people. In a 1662 law made all children of enslaved mothers slaves regardless of the father's race or status, or that rape by white slave masters could create a free child. A 1667 law codified that slaves who converted to Christianity were still slaves. A 1669 law allowed slaves to be killed for resisting authority. We could go to the next one. So this article is ACLU. Next one, terrorism. Even if we refuse to acknowledge it, okay?
Now, notice how he just glossed right over that. He didn't try to dispute any of that because you can't. It's history, okay? Since he was scoffing at it like, oh, this is what they're saying. Okay, debunk any of that. You can't, though. You can't. You know you would sound beyond even more asinine than you already are trying to. But I want you to see how he just going to skip over these things that are our atrocities, the Holocaust that happened to our people on our soil, okay? Look how these disrespectful tether class immigrants, because he's in there too, just try to mock or gloss over our pain, okay? You can't do that with anything that happened to them. Oh no, but see, when it comes to us, it's trivialized. I want you to catch the tone of his voice while he's reading this.
And it explains terrorism on what's going on. The largest terrorist attack in Oklahoma was not the federal building in Oklahoma City in 1995. It was down the road in Tulsa in 1921. The Green Hood neighborhood of Tulsa, Oklahoma was unique. In the early 20th century, was referred to the Black Wall Street and was home to Black and Native Americans who had become wealthy from old discoveries. And then it goes to saying white residents were disturbed by the growing black wealth and sought to impose official segregation measures. In 2014, Tulsa passed a law that forbade anyone from living on a block where more than 3/4 of the pre-existing residents were from another race. Okay, so let's go a little bit. If somebody wants to read more, we'll put the link below. Next. So keep going. Then we have a war was fought for slavery. By 1860, America had 4 million slaves, worth a total of $3 billion of today's currencies. Okay, let's go to the next one. Go to the next one. Francis Scott Key was an avowed white supremacist. Keep going to the next one.
Oh, no. You want to keep going to the next one. Well, we're going to slow you right down right now, Patrick Bet David. See, you skipped over the part about Francis Scott Key. All of you go and look up what the third stanza of the national anthem is. See, they don't play the whole thing. Oh, they do not play the whole thing. For those of you that don't know what that is, especially a young person, just look up third stanza of the national anthem, then get back to me and tell me if that is not a part of white supremacy. But see, he tried to gloss over the part about the slaves and everything, okay, and Abraham Lincoln and all of that. Let me just go ahead and burst this bubble right now. We know we're going to take this banner down. We're going to stop him. Let's see. I make sure I bring receipts when I come over here to my people. Oh, yeah. We finna go ahead and read some. In fact, let me enhance this so that we can read this together. Family, let me know if you can see this good and clear in the chat room before we start reading this together. Can everybody see that okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can see this okay, because see, we finna go ahead and help our young ones now, because most of you know this, and some of you may not. That's okay. It's never too late to learn. But for you young ones, this is gonna be something I want you to stick with you, because they're taking this history out of schools left and right. Okay, great. Everybody can see it. Right. So now, the reason why this is important to bring this up, they keep telling you that the Democratic Party was the party that founded the Klan. Okay, that's partial truth to that, but there were also conservatives that joined the Ku Klux Klan too. So it's not like all the good guys were over here in the Republican Party and all the bad guys in the Democratic Party. Because see, now we're going to take a little walk back down history, and we are going to quote Abraham Lincoln, since they tell us that the Republican Party was the party that freed the slaves, and that's what it was designed for. Okay, let's see what good old Abraham Lincoln has to say, because you can find these words here verified. We're going to get to that in just a second. Let's read, shall we? Quote, I will say then that I am not nor have ever been in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races. It was an applause, because this is quoted from a speech he was giving. That I am not nor have ever been in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say, in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together in terms of social and political equality. And inasmuch as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And inasmuch as any other man am I in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race, end quote, Abraham Lincoln. This document, this excerpt is from the Lincoln-Douglas debates, the fourth one, the part one of it, Stephen A. Douglas, Abraham Lincoln, September 18th, 1858, ladies and gentlemen. See, when they keep trying to use that talking point and trying to paint that the Republican Party is the party of anti-slavery and all of that, you have to know your history, okay? we're not done yet because, see, I'm going to go ahead and get this out the way before I let these clowns continue. See, we pay attention to our history over here. You come over here and line on my channel about some history, boy, y'all better tell them I'm cold with it. Let's go ahead and bring up this part of history, shall we? Oh, yeah. Now, this gentleman that you're looking at on your screen, if I'd been make it a little bit bigger for everybody to see him. Oh, yeah. Take a good look at this Southern gentleman right here. Good old boy. You don't know who this is? Let's introduce you to him. Quote, as a people, we are fighting to maintain the heaven-ordained supremacy of the white man over the inferior or colored race. As a national emblem, the Confederate flag, is significant of our higher cause, the cause of a superior race. This was said by William Tappan Thompson, designer of the Confederate flag. So for all you good old boys, that's not a symbol of white supremacy. You a bold-faced lie, not according to its creator, William T. Tappan Thompson. Okay? Oh, we're not done yet. Because if anybody wants to say, you just made that up. Oh, yeah? Okay, got some more receipts for you. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah. See, kid, I'm reaching over here. White supremacist trolls, and they tell me that I'm reaching over here. Boy, y'all don't understand. I joke a lot. But when I decide to get thorough with these things, I give you receipts that you cannot dispute because you can go and verify everything that I'm saying. Here we go. Let me show you something. Here's what William Thompson, we just read that, said about the Confederate flag, and we should listen since he was the one who created it, not only its design, but its symbolism and purpose. Here he is, quoted in the book, Our Flag by George Preble. The book is Our Flag by George Preble. That's where you can find this quote that I'm about to read you, okay? And I just read it to you here. This is in that book. Y'all see it, right? Up there on the screen. Just letting it be known, this is where that quote came from. So, man, you just made that up. Oh, no, I didn't, Giblet. Oh, no, GPS don't make up nothing when it comes to teaching this history over here, okay? So now that we got this out the way, you probably saying, well, GPS, why did you bring that up? Oh, well, we about to get back to it. Y'all about to see because the rest of what Patrick David is about to say, everything I just said is going to debunk everything they're finna talk about. Let's let it continue.
Which is the last one. Reparations for slavery have already been paid, okay? On April 16, 1862, more than 8 months before he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln signed a bill ending slavery in the District of Columbia. It provided for immediate emancipation of slaves and compensation to slave owners loyal to the Union of up to $300 for each freed slave. Over the next 9 months, the Board of Commissioners appointed to administer the act approved petitions completely or in part for former owners of freedom, 2989 former slaves. Lincoln administration paid about $1 million to slave owners in D.C. for the loss of property. If you don't know some of these facts before reading them here, what else don't you know about the hidden truths of Black American history? Okay, so that's A. C.
See how he tried to gloss over there? Not gonna let you do that, Patrick Bet-David. Reparations were paid to the slave owners, but not us. Oh, no, that debt has never been settled. It is a legally owed debt. And it's going to be paid. Because look, we've said it many times, you already paying a form of reparations anyway, with all this militarized police gear. I mean, look, you already paying. One of the most costly things, and anybody that's a former soldier, combat veteran will know the truth of what I'm about to say. One of the things that you really don't want to drag out is a physical occupation of a nation, because that's costly. It's costly in a number of different ways. And my good brother Kermit S. Wingfield, you can back me up on this. You know that that's very costly because when you're in close proximity to a place where you're occupying, they can study you. They can learn your tactics. This is why that's something that you don't want to drag out. If you're going to occupy people, this is why you hear that phrase, hearts and minds. Okay? See, the missionaries and the merchants, if you can get in control of the minds and sell them shiny things and get them to conform of free will to whatever you're trying to impose on them, that's the route you want to go. That last one, the military, that can't be protracted. It's going to backfire you in the long run, okay? So I'm just putting that bit of history out here. But see, he tried to skip over that. Nah, man, no. We did not get paid reparations, Patrick Bet-David. See, this is why I can't. Boy, these types of jokers right here, they better not ever come anywhere where those of us in New Black Media are, and they're speaking and we get a chance to address them. Boy, that'll be the funniest thing y'all ever see. And look, we don't have to curse them out in there like that. See, we have our fun over here, but there are civil sides to this as well, where we can engage them and discuss the facts and just hit them with, okay, is this true or false? Yeah. See, but that time is going to come. It's going to come. Mark my words. They're going to run into one of us somewhere sometime, but let's let it continue.
Now let's go to Prager. Here's what PragerU says. The top 5 issues facing Black Americans. Number 5, victim mentality. Okay. Not holding someone back from more than seeing himself as a victim. Why? Because a victim is not responsible for his situation. Everything is someone else's fault. And a victim sees little chance of improving his life. How can he get ahead if there's someone holding him back? All this makes him victim. All this makes the victim unhappy, frustrated, and angry. And then in the bottom, it says, so victim, so much on victim status, primary center. I call it victimology. Unfortunately, many Black churches preach the victimology. Many Black parents pass it on to their children. Inner city schools teach it to their students. And the Black media reinforces it. Meanwhile, the NAACP and other Black grievance groups fundraise it. Number 4, lack of diversity. Blacks repeatedly demand an honest dialogue on debate about race. But how can there be an honest dialogue about race between Blacks and whites when there's virtually no honest dialogue between Blacks and Blacks? It's hypocritical. And if a Black does think whites are ultimately responsible for Black people's problems, they're labeled a sellout, an Uncle Tom, a race traitor. I'm sure you've experienced some of that yourself over the years.
Yes, because Black people are not in control of the systems that run this country. White people are, Patrick Bet-David. So therefore, the people that are in charge of the system are responsible for the way the system operates towards everyone. Oh, see, I told y'all, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is always simple and it's powerful in its simplicity. You don't have to dress up the truth. Just keep it as it is and display that when you're dealing with these types of snakes and bootlicks. Let it continue.
As long as this type of groupthink exists, race reverence of the Al Sharptons, Jesse Jackson types will continue to be celebrated, while independent Black thinkers such as Professor Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, and yourself will be shunned. Okay, let's go to number 3. Urban terrorism. As just about everyone knows, but few talk about publicly, in major Black cities, violent Black-on-Black crimes is rampant. A Department of Justice study from 1980 to 2008 revealed that Blacks accounted for almost half of the nation's homicide victims, 47.4%, and more than half of offenders, 52.4%, all while only 13% of Americans.
Let's go ahead and smash that right now because, see, family, I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you debunk those types of talking points, because we've debunked that 52, Black people are 13% of the population, 52% of the crimes. We've debunked that many times, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you how you can do it with anything they try like that. Because, see, first of all, when you start trying to deal with percentages, those are not solid numbers. That's where they go into that per capita. No. Let's talk solid numbers. Go pick up a book called How to Lie with Statistics. I think every young Black person should have that book in their arsenal and read it, so you become familiar with how these white supremacists will lie with statistics with these talking points, okay? So pick that book up, How to Lie with Statistics, all right? Now, when it comes to dealing with the bootleg and the tether factory, PragerU, because this is where he's reading all this stuff from, you can't start talking about Black-on-Black crime if you want to start putting colors on crime, because crime is crime. Well, we got to talk about this white-on-white crime, because last time I checked, most of the school shooters, we going there? Oh, yes, I am. Who's the school? Who's getting hurt by these school shooters most? That's your kids doing that. See, you can talk about single mothers over here in our community, but last time I checked, most of the single mothers, no matter what they're doing in their communities amongst each other, they're not running school, shooting up no schools. Last time I checked, Pookie and Ray Ray ain't doing that now. Nope. We get on Pookie and Ray Ray over here, but we can't put stuff on them that they're not doing. The single parent households over there in your community, in the dominant society, you raise mass shooters. That's what you got going on, See, they don't want to have these conversations with me. I don't play no games with them, but we're going to let it continue.
Americans' population. Okay, so that's another study. We can go to the next one. Number 2, proliferation of baby mamas, the disintegration of the nuclear family, which you talked about briefly earlier. According to Mohian report, he was a senator, I believe, right, Tom? How do you say his name?
Salute to the Project Leroy for the cash up, and family. I want you to pay close attention to what he's about to say next, because see, I'm gonna put something on your mind. I'm gonna give you a bit of homework to do, especially if you're a young black person. I'm gonna point something out to you about what they're about to say that a lot of you never probably thought of. It's gonna be unsettling, but I have to tell my people the truth over here, okay? In case many of you haven't thought of it this way, I'm gonna put it to you plain. I'm gonna let them say it first, and then I'm gonna address it.
Last name?
Daniel Patrick Moynihan.
Yeah, Moynihan. In 1965, nearly 25% of black children were born to unwed mothers. The report author, Daniel Patrick, said that this was a disaster in the making. He, of course, vilified by so-called black leaders and their progressive allies, but he was right. Today, out of wedlock, birth rates is nearly 75%. 1965, I think you talked about this earlier, 25% to today, 75%. Last but not least is the unquestioning allegiance to so-called progressive policies, okay? Unwavering loyalty to progressive liberal policies is the primary reason why these dire conditions exist. It both makes them possible and perpetuates them. It's no coincidence that progressivism is the common thread that binds predominantly black cities where single-parent homes, failing schools, rampant poverty, and crime predominate. I can keep reading this and talking about what's going on in Detroit, Philadelphia. The point I want to make is two very different views of the problem we're facing in America. One is, white supremacist, here's what happened, even this, even that. The other one is responsibility, do something about it, but here's the problem. How do we get these two groups to either come together? And if we can't, how do you get the people that are in the middle open-minded to say, trust me, this mindset on this side, it's going to give you a better life than this mindset on this side wanting to be a victim?
Again, I think that the response to Oliver Anthony's song gives you a hint at that. There is a thirst, a deep thirst for virtue.
Let me pause the bootleg right there before he goes on his bootleg Bible spree. So now, you notice during his reading of the PragerU propaganda document, okay, he mentioned Daniel Patrick Moynihan, and boy, the bootleg, boy, they look, the bootlegs, boy, the Thomas Souls and the rest of them, boy, when they bring up that man's name, Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Daniel Patrick Moynihan. You heard how you pronounce that? Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Let me tell you something about that Moynihan report, okay? You probably never heard anybody say that like this, because see, they tried to frame that as, okay, well, they're trying to figure out why black people are doing so bad and what's going on. Let me tell you what that report really was, okay? A lot of you better go and look up who Henry Kissinger was, but I'm gonna compare this and contrast it with Daniel Patrick Moynihan. The Moynihan report wasn't done to figure out what needed to be done to help black people. What that report really was, and if you don't believe me, go look it up for yourself. That report was basically the white supremacist power structure saying, you know what? We've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at these Negroes. How are they still existing? That's what the Moynihan report was. Huh? Oh, you've never heard it come. See, look, a lot of these silly bootlicking conservatives, they don't really think that far down the pipeline. Huh? Go look at that entire report and then you tell me if you think that they was trying to assess all that to help black people. I'm going to prove why I know I'm right about that. Because in the years since that report was done, has anything been implemented to change what the report was talking about, or have things been done to exacerbate the things that the report was talking about? Huh? Basically, what that was intel. Okay, this is what's going on with them. Let's feed these Negroes more what destroys them. Huh? Yeah, I'm going there with it. See, boy, I told y'all, boy, they don't talk to me for a reason. I don't play with them, but I'm gonna let this bootleg continue babbling.
The very fact that a homeless man in Boston a couple of years back found a knapsack with $43,000 in it and turned it in. And there was a GoFundMe, and within 3 days, they raised $93,000 for him. That meant deep in that happened 4 times. A black man in Oakland who was homeless, 53 years old, a woman emptied her change purse, and her $15,000 diamond wedding bracelet was there. When she went back 5 hours later, he said, "You're looking for this?" They had a fundraiser for him, $100,000. That says to me that deep in is a desire to support virtue like that. And so what we do is that the way you undermine the moral authority of the ACLU and these other groups is to equip the people suffering the problem to speak for themselves. And they speak for themselves the way the Black Mothers United have come together, for example. You support groups so that now we've got 20 chapters, about 2,000 of these moms who are having positive interactions. We were honoring the police.
You low down, dirty bootlick, you. You keep talking about this Moms United group, but I guarantee you hadn't brought none of those mothers together to talk about economic policies and tangibles that are going to actively change the situation in their communities. Honoring the police. The police are half the damn problem, because just like I said before, when they get ready to gentrify an area, they clean up all the crime in that area. Listen, man, let's go ahead and be real with this. Let's talk about that crime, because they love talking about the crime. Okay, let's talk about it. If you really want to clean up crime in these communities, you could just enforce strict no loitering laws. Okay, be like, hey, Pookie Ray, you out here on this corner, you can't be standing out by these stores or nowhere like that. We catch you out here, we picking you up. Huh? I'm not the only person that has said this, by the way, okay? That's just a small thing you could do. Whatever you do when you gentrify these communities to clean up, you could do that before then and clean them up. What's the difference? Huh? Yeah, but see, we all know that police, their main job is really to protect property. And they're not obligated by constitutional law to help you or protect you in any type of crime. Did y'all know that? Supreme Court decision, not my opinion. You can look that up. So when you start gentrifying a place and you got the expensive stadiums coming, your Starbucks, your Whole Foods, oh yeah, they got to clean that up to protect those investments, which shows you how they work hand in hand with corporate America. Okay? See, yeah, I see, they don't like Black people that talk the way I'm talking, because see, you can't put an old bootlick in front of me and tell me that you huddled up a bunch of Black women who lost children to take advantage of them and make them feel better. No. Let them feel better with tangible solutions to the things that's going on in the neighborhoods, and you need dollars to do that. Are you advocating for that, Mr. Bob Woodson, with your Woodson Center? Boy, let's let this maggot continue. Boy, I can't stand these bootlicks.
Organizing events with students are being mobilized by the thousands to speak out against violence. In other words, you've got to invest in the institutions within those communities where people are speaking up for themselves. And make them the new heroes. But again, it's going to take investment. But conservatives don't invest the way they do. They'll invest in think tanks because their children can go there and be interns.
They'll invest in the think tanks because that's where they come up with policies to harm people, both the Democrats and the Republicans. See, young Black people, don't ever let them play you in the middle like one party is better than the other. They're not. Over here, we tell you to vote for Black empowerment. That's what we tell you to vote for, okay? Don't ever let them try to get you caught in one side versus the other. That's been the gist of what this broadcast is here tonight. I've given you some historical ammunition to use along with current facts to use, okay? Because you have to be well armed in order to fight any type of battle and ultimately win the war. Let's let it continue.
And we seem to think all you got to do is publish the right policies, and then people will change. It's not a rhetorical battle that we're in. This is a battle for meaning. This is a battle of substance. We must demonstrate to the American public that the values of this nation have the consequence of improving the quality of life. And if people can find content and meaning in their life in a drug-infested, crime-ridden neighborhood, and we highlight that and celebrate it and make them the new heroes, then they are the ones that we can stand shoulder to shoulder with and say, we must push back. But again, it takes investment.
Yeah, it's
okay. Since you're talking about investment, great, Mr. Bob Woodson. We need you to advocate for that same investment package that this government has invested into these migrants, okay? There's your investment package right there. And for anybody that thinks we don't have it, go look on my community tab wall. Earlier, I put a link in the chat to some of that information in here. Oh, yeah. See, I try to arm you with things you can use over here. But see, this bootleg sitting here in front of Patrick Bet-David, I'm going to say this again to you directly, Patrick Bet-David, and anybody that thinks like you. You got your nose so focused on our issues, sir. I'm going to tell you something. If you think that you're safe over here, there are going to be events coming where you're not going to be comfortable either. Just all you have to do, you have to be careful here on YouTube. All you have to do is just pay attention to current events. It's fun now because, see, all you have to do is look back at history. Take the movie Gangs of New York for instance there. A lot of these people over here that are classified as white today, they went through a hazing process, okay? Now, one thing that you know about the dominant society, the so-called pure white people, if we're going to use that term just for sake of reference, when things get tough, they turn on everybody that's not really of their tribe. You think your time is not coming, Mr. Patrick Bet-David? Huh? Case in point, when given a choice to have watered down white supremacy or the real thing, look at some of these political elections where these people that were not white tried to run for office, talking about you, Tim Scott. Yeah, talking about you, Larry, not our elder. Shout out to my good brother Torian Rain for that term. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and let's start looking at some of these bootlicks. Daniel Cameron, you coon, you. When people get the choice to have the real deal of white supremacy, even if that means voting for the other side, that's what they go with. Patrick Bet-David, mark my words, your time is coming. It's cool now. You enjoying it. But see, what's going to happen is when they turn on you, you're going to be humble and you're going to run. Hey, black people, you were right about racism. Nope. Turn right back around and get back over there with your people. Because that's who you sided with. Let it continue.
It's interesting you say this. I look at, I run multiple companies. And when you run multiple companies, then you have multiple C-suites, then you have multiple department managers, general managers, people that are running leaders, and one group will have 5 employees reporting to them with 10 on the team. One will have 20, one will have 30, one will have 8. And I'll go to one department, I'm like, wow, everybody here is so enthusiastic. They come to work so excited.
Right.
They want to say, hey, let's show to the company that we are the best department, right? We're excited to get stuff done. And then you go to one department, and I'll talk to one employee, another employee. They're all like, well, how's you do? Well, we're trying to, I've had better days, and, we're going to see what's going to happen. And I'm like, why does everybody talk like they're miserable, and so like unhappy and victims? And then you go and talk to the leader at the top. Well, no one ever gives us credit, and no one ever does this. I'm like, got it. So then you go and you look at 2 coaches. And as a father, I got 4 kids. My youngest son, he's had a lot of different baseball coaches, okay? And he's currently with a coach that he loves. He really likes working for this guy. But this guy busts his butt. Like, I remember one time he said something. The coach comes in. He says, he comes to me and say, Pat, I just want to tell you, he's going to be running the entire practice today. I'm like, do your thing. I said, but tell me why. Because he did this. I said, no, totally get it. Go for it. I got your back. So what does the coach do? He puts him to work. Running. I mean, it's hot outside. Running. But you know what? We're going to go back to that coach because he produces winners. He produces toughness. He produces a teamwork mentality. He produces a level of humility. He produces the love of the game. It's exciting to want to play for this guy.
Now, I'm glad he's espousing on about this anecdotal coach story here and talking about his kid. Well, Patrick Bet-David, I'm glad you got that out your mouth because, see, you know what you need to do? Huh? Know what you need to do? You need to go back home. Huh? You need to go back home where you from and get under some coaching over there and make your homeland better, okay? Because you got a lot to say about black people, huh? Yeah, I'm glad he got that coaching story out of there because, see, that y'all need the coaching. Those of you that fled from your homelands, you need to be coached on how to stand up like men, build, and make things better back where you're from. So I just want to get that out there. Y'all know me, man. I'm petty, but I make it stick to them to the point where they can't dispute nothing I say. Let's let it continue.
We had another coach where it's like, you don't know what you're doing. Everything was just constantly like negative, this, that. And the kids didn't want to play for him. So for me, both sides can say whatever they want to say. But at the end of the day, there's only one way we judge which philosophy is a better philosophy, and it's based on the fruits it bears, period. Based on what you produce. If you produce good citizens that do great things, you're doing something right. Tom's got 2 girls. One.
Have you produced what makes people want to stay in the homeland where you come from? Has that been produced? Huh? Because see, to me, if you run off the court and leave before the game is finished or you get the championship, you're basically a loser. That's how I'm looking at all of them. You can't tell my people that didn't flee nothing.
Got a 1560 on her SAT out of 1600, okay? She gets to go to whatever school she wants to go to. She's got a 4.6 GPA at one of the best schools in the state of Florida with, I think, the best math program in the entire state of Florida. And she's very, very smart. So is their youngest daughter. Guess what? The parents are doing something right. The philosophies they're teaching is something right. So for me, scream out the top of your lungs. Say whatever you want to say. If one philosophy is...
Why, yes, Patrick Bet David. I will say whatever I want to say. And I'm going to say that you all need to learn how not to flee from your nations. Family, that's all of it we need to see. I think we've been very thorough in our lesson and our education over here tonight with this broadcast. I hope everybody was able to get something from it. Salute and thank you to everyone that contributed to the broadcast. And yes, bit of housekeeping before we go. For those of you that were wondering where the Learning the Hard Way broadcast is, let me tell you something, man. I posted on the community tab. Hit a couple of high-profile nerds with that one. I had to put that one on Patreon because let me tell you something. Y'all remember, no problems during the stream. The minute that stream was over, a lot of you tried to go back and catch it on the playback. They blocked that. Oh, they were like, oh, no, Negro. But see, I tell you what. Working on a broadcast to address this Cassie Diddy situation. When I drop that, yeah, they may as well get ready to block that one too, because I'm going to go in and thread some needles on several things that are being talked about. But you know me, I'm going to add a different perspective to that. All right. And we going to really expose some things regarding that situation. Because time is going to tell how it all plays out. But before it gets to that point, before it goes to trial or whatever, you'll remember that GBS said that's exactly what was going to go down with it. Okay. So just giving you a bit of advance warning when that broadcast drop is going to be very soon, probably Monday when I'm going to drop that, getting all the things together for it. So I hope everybody is doing well. I want you to take care of yourselves. Please do not tolerate any disrespect from these tethers of any class. Make sure you use the information over here. Check that community tab. Got some great arguments that you present with policies and numbers to counter anything they start talking about when they start talking about, oh, we broke, we ain't got it. Oh, yes, you do got it. And we know exactly where it's going to, besides the migrants, okay? So with that said, salute, Black first, and I will see you all in future content.
This is the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, and we still have a lot of discrepancies as far as the origins of hip-hop, a lot of claims, who did what, who was the first this, who was the this and that, and such. But at the end of the day, we need a definitive story, all right? And that story can only be told by the founders of this culture.
Like everything was being driven and influenced by young, Black, American culture, like the slang, the style of dress, the initial music that we chose.
You look at all the boroughs, you got, Money Making Manhattan and Money Earning Mount Vernon and Crooklyn. The Bronx was the boogie down Bronx. We was partying up there.
I am Coke LaRock, the first MC of hip hop. First cat to pick the mic up.
I introduced rapping to the turntable because when I came with it, nobody in the world was doing it. I'm right after Rudy Ray Moore.
They want to come in the mix, they want to say, we started. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. What came to be known as hip hop was solely an African-American creation.
What you get out of some Jamaican toast? What is that? I've never heard of a rapper use a Jamaican toast or a Jamaican fleur as a rhyme. I never heard of it, and I don't know where that myth came from.
My name is legendary King Trixie from the Bronx, BX. from the West Side. I am the first break dancer.
That narrative that hip hop has had 3 founding fathers, that's been rolling for the last almost 30 years, which isn't true. You don't have just 3 people who created hip hop. Hip hop was created by a number of different people.
I am the grandfather, the godfather of the graffiti culture. I am the first element of hip hop.
The roots of hip hop being Jamaican, absolutely false.
My name is MC Sha-Rock. I am a founding member of the MC/rap culture.
Cassette tapes was the internet of our time. It just traveled around by hand.
Well, I know for a fact that the B-boy stand started from the guards, the 5 percenters that would be at the jams back in the days who were acting as security.
If they get the real truth of how it all was created, then so many lies would not be able to be in existence.
When we talk about hip hop and what it is, it's an extension of the music and the instrumentation that our forefathers created.
Check out the live stream premiere of the documentary short, It's Bigger Than Hip Hop, The Black American Family Tree, and Q&A, a fundraiser to create a series detailing music's evolution. Go to dewanb.com for streaming passes and crowdfunding.